He paused, almost overcome. Margaret had taken his hand when he spoke of her being so dear to him, and held it hard. As he spoke she continued to hold it. But there came over her face that change which I had so often seen of late, that mysterious veiling of her own personality which gave me the subtle sense of separation from her. In his impassioned vehemence her father did not notice, but when he stopped she seemed all at once to be herself again. In her glorious eyes came the added brightness of unshed tears, and with a gesture of passionate love and admiration she stooped and kissed her father's hand. Then, turning to me, she too spoke. "Malcolm, you have spoken of the deaths that came from the poor Queen, or rather that justly came from meddling with her arrangements and thwarting her purpose. Do you not think that, in putting it as you have done, you have been unjust? Who would not have done just as she did? Remember, she was fighting for her life. Ay, and for more than her life. For life, and love, and all the glorious possibilities of that dim future in the unknown world of the North which had such enchanting hopes for her. Do you not think that she, with all the learning of her time, and with all the great and resistless force of her mighty nature, had hopes of spreading in a wider way the lofty aspirations of her soul? That she hoped to bring to the conquering of unknown worlds, and using to the advantage of her people, all that she had won from sleep and death and time, all of which might and could have been frustrated by the ruthless hand of an assassin or a thief? Were it you, in such case would you not struggle by all means to achieve the object of your life and hope, whose possibilities grew and grew in the passing of those endless years? Can you think that that active brain was at rest during all those weary centuries, whilst her free soul was flitting from world to world amongst the boundless regions of the stars? Had these stars in their myriad and varied life no lessons for her, as they have had for us since we followed the glorious path which she and her people marked for us, when they sent their winged imaginations circling amongst the lamps of the night?" Here she paused. She too was overcome, and the welling tears ran down her cheeks. I was myself more moved than I can say. This was indeed my Margaret, and in the consciousness of her presence my heart leapt. Out of my happiness came boldness, and I dared to say now what I had feared would be impossible, something which would call the attention of Mr. Trelawny to what I imagined was the dual existence of his daughter. As I took Margaret's hand in mine and kissed it, I said to her father: "Why, sir, she couldn't speak more eloquently if the very spirit of Queen Tera was with her to animate her and suggest thoughts." Mr. Trelawny's answer simply overwhelmed me with surprise. It manifested to me that he too had gone through just such a process of thought as my own. "And what if it was? If it is? I know well that the spirit of her mother is within her. If in addition there be the spirit of that great and wondrous Queen, then she would be no less dear to me, but doubly dear. Do not have fear for her, Malcolm Ross; at least have no more fear than you may have for the rest of us." Margaret took up the theme, speaking so quickly that her words seemed a continuation of her father's, rather than an interruption of them. "Have no special fear for me, Malcolm. Queen Tera knows, and will offer us no harm. I know it. I know it as surely as I am lost in the depth of my own love for you." There was something in her voice so strange to me that I looked quickly into her eyes. They were bright as ever, but veiled to my seeing the inward thought behind them as are the eyes of a caged lion. Then the two other men came in, and the subject changed. End of chapter 17. Recording by Roger Moline.